Toronto Talk Sports and more. It's your boy Zion Hezekiah. Happy to be joined here by my man CJS, Courtney Scarlett. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
What's happening? And my main man, Shey Smith. What's going on, Shey?
What's going on, guys? Good to be here.
Yes. Welcome. And we are very pleased to be joined all the way from Florida. We have Canadian Olympic athlete, the fastest man in Canada, Mr. Aaron Brown. What's going on, AB?
What's up, man? How you doing?
What's happening?
Hey, just relaxing, staying indoors, trying to stay healthy, and taking it one day at a time.
It's all about that quarantine life right about now, eh?
Yep, quarantine and chill. You know what time it is.
That's it. So listen, guys, let's get right to it. So things kind of really kicked off in the sports world, sports and entertainment. It was March the 11th, exactly 3 weeks ago, when the NBA decided to suspend its season shortly after Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz tested positive for coronavirus. And that kind of really spiraled things into effect once again for the whole sports world. You know, the NHL followed suit, MLB, all the leagues. It pretty much has affected anything and everything sports and entertainment. Now, Aaron, I know that you're a huge basketball fan, and we're going to talk a little bit of ball later on. When the NBA decided to make that decision, that historical big decision to, put the brakes on, to shut down, to suspend the league, what were your initial thoughts at that time? And at what point, because of course it wasn't until probably about 10 or so days later when they did announce that, the suspension of the Tokyo Games, the 2020 Olympics, at what point for you did it really kind of hit did reality set in where you said to yourself, wow, this could possibly affect the 2020 Games?
Yeah, like you said, that was the first domino to fall in terms of all the international sports. Up until the NBA was suspended, I thought that this thing would blow over. I saw it picking up traction in the media, but at the same time, I feel like these things don't really sink in until it affects people or things that are near and dear to you and affect your everyday life. And definitely being a ball fan, the NBA is something that's near and dear to me. So once that hit, I was like, damn, like what else is going to hit next? Is it going to infect and infiltrate different sports that I care about, mainly the one that I represent myself, which is the Olympics. So, once Rudy Gobert came out with his symptoms and tested positive, it kind of made me really start to take this thing seriously. I started to, look at the media every day, see what they're saying, see what the projections were, if it was going to get worse. And sure enough, it was. And here we are today, on a full lockdown in Florida finally, but it's been a long time since it's started to hit, and it's just kind of been picking up steam ever since. So the Olympics obviously now we know has been rescheduled for 2021, and my mindset is fully on that and getting prepared for that. But in the near future, it's all about staying safe and trying to flatten the curve, making sure that everybody's healthy and staying indoors, doing their part to contribute to, overcoming this virus. But when the news came out, it was devastating because I knew if something as big as the NBA could drop, then everything else is susceptible.
Right. But I'm sure there was a point where you probably thought to yourself, this is the Olympics. It only happens 4 times a year. It's not like the sports leagues, basketball, for example, you have games every day. You talk about MLB, Major League Baseball, 162 games in a season. This is the Olympics. Was there a part of you that said possibly, this can't affect the Olympics? Like there's no way, no how that the Olympics could possibly be shut down?
Yeah, it's such a big event, and there's so many global sponsors involved and so many moving parts. It takes so long to prepare, to get everything ready. I knew that the IOC and everybody behind the Olympic movement was going to do everything in their power to have the games. But as you see, it got postponed because it became inevitable that it just was a health risk. And some things are bigger than sports, and, the fate of the world is one of those things. So once it became clear that this thing wouldn't be contained and it was here to stay, and we have to do our part in order to get over it, or it could get much, much worse, then the mindset shifted from trying to make the games possible to doing everything we can to overcome this thing. But up until it got postponed, I was hoping and praying that there's a way to have the safe games, or maybe have no fans in the stands, or quarantine ourselves when we go there and quarantine when we come back before we reintroduce ourselves to society. Whatever it took, I was willing to do. But that became unrealistic. And, as you see, we got postponed, and that was the right call.
Definitely. And Aaron, as you alluded to, I mean, just today, a few hours ago, the governor of Florida announced a statewide lockdown. Basically, everything is closed right now, from shopping malls to schools, to libraries, to the gym. You name it, everything is pretty much closed down right now. How has this whole COVID-19 affected you personally? We also know that you're currently in Florida and your family's up here in Toronto. So how's everything affected you personally during this pandemic?
Yeah, so track-wise, obviously it postponed the Olympics. Even before the postponement came, my training was very, very difficult because we lost access to our track. We were training at a soccer facility and lost access to that. So then we're just looking at open grass fields in the middle of nowhere to train, make them do. We didn't have access to our weight rooms. I couldn't get my regular massage and chiropractic and physio appointments. So my regular routine was definitely thrown off track. And, preparation was a big reason why people started calling for the postponement of the games. But on a personal level, my wife is a nurse. And so every day she's in the hospital seeing firsthand how the virus is spreading and, the growing in cases and, basically how it's penetrated our everyday life. My mom is a nurse as well. My dad also works in the hospital. So they're both still in essential jobs and still working every day, going to the hospitals and seeing how it's affecting in different parts of the country, an entirely different country in Canada and my family back home. My oldest sister, she is in school and she has to stay home and do classes online. So that's been difficult for her to adjust. And my younger sister completely can't go to work. So everybody's been affected in different ways. This thing has definitely left its imprint on everybody's lives. And, we're all just trying to get over this as soon as possible.
Definitely.
Hey, Aaron, I just wanted to take it back to the last Olympic Games that you were part of in 2016. And I just wanted to get you to talk a little bit about that experience, being able to be a part of Canadian history and the Canadian bronze medal in the 4x100 relay, and also getting to witness world history, really, and seeing Bolt win the Triple Crown. And if you could maybe just talk about the experience of that games and maybe how your preparation is going to be different for the upcoming games in 2021.
Yeah, so when I look back on Rio, I have mixed feelings because I wanted to do better individually. But at the same time, to get a bronze medal at the Olympic Games is always something to cherish and something that I celebrate when I think back on it with my teammates and what we're able to do. When we came off the track, initially we were fourth place, and that kind of felt incomplete because we ran such a great race and broke the Canadian record that stood for a long time, at 37.69 by the 96 Olympic team. They actually won gold with that. And for us to break that but come away with no medal just didn't feel right. So when we actually found out that there was a disqualification and we got our bronze, it kind of felt like, okay, this feels more like it should. And I cherish that bronze medal. Being an Olympic medalist is something I've always wanted to be. So I'm really proud to have that on my mantle. But I'm definitely looking and hungry to achieve more in the next Olympics. So my mind says trying to get that individual success that I've been chasing for so long. And of course, upgrade our medal in the relay would be very nice. And as far as watching the greatest of all time, Usain Bolt, that was something that I'm going to tell my grandkids about. He's a legend, personality, matches exactly who he is on and off the track and on and off the camera. He's 6'5", but he looks like he's 7 foot tall when he's running because the stride is so long and it's just a big shadow going by you. It's a crazy thing to experience and be able to talk about. But to see what he was doing and how he could raise himself to the occasion every time, at the Olympics is definitely something that we'll very rarely ever see again, if ever.
For sure. Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Aaron, and definitely, our thoughts and prayers with everybody out there. There's so much going on. I actually want to kick it back to the question that you asked, Courtney, as far as how is this situation, affecting you personally? Shey, why don't you kind of go first and we can maybe all just kind of share collectively. Obviously, you are a high school teacher and you do a bunch of other things as well. Why don't you let our audience know a little bit about what you have going on and how this whole pandemic has affected you and your family personally.
Well, on a professional level, I mean, we are preparing as teachers to deliver our curriculum online, at least until May the 4th, when that's the date that's been set by the province to return back to schools. And if it needs to be that they extend it, they'll extend it. But we're preparing to deliver our curriculum online and deliver an experience that will keep learning happening. At the same time, trying to juggle all the different logistical issues and issues around access to technology and all that. But the board is working with parents, working with teachers to try and deliver as best we can the learning that the kids deserve, but making the best of the circumstances. So it's a very interesting time for teachers and students, and we're just trying to make the best of it. On a personal level, it's been great to be home. It's been great to spend time with the kids. It's been a very change of pace kind of lifestyle, right? Things have slowed down a little bit, which is kind of nice. And sometimes in the worst of times or unlikely situations, you try to look at the positives and do what you can with the cards you're dealt. So we've been spending a lot of time together, which has been great, and learning how to keep their learning going as well. So that's going to be a struggle, a little bit of a challenge as we go forward, but we're looking forward to it. On a hobby level, I do run a NFL community on a social network site called MeWe, and it's a struggle. We're starving for sports. We're starving for news. At least it's the off season for football, so there's things still happening, right? The things that aren't happening too, but we're making the best of it, and we're kind of just every little drip of information, we're all over it, and I think that's true for every sports fan out there. So we're just kind of taking it as it comes and making the best of it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing. I'll kick it to you, Courts. What about you? How are things in your neck of the woods, your family? Obviously, you're a real estate agent, and I'm sure this has had probably not a great effect on the real estate market. Why don't you talk to us and tell us how this is all affecting you personally, man?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, in terms of the real estate industry, definitely has had a huge impact on the real estate market. Over the past few months, there have been a lot of transactions. And now, and in the coming weeks, a lot of transactions are going to be closing. And one of the huge issues is, say, for example, if somebody who purchased a house a couple months ago, now they're looking to close on that house, but they recently lost their job. Now the mortgage companies aren't going to give them that mortgage, so that sale is going to fall through. Mm-hmm. And what happens there is that same seller who's relying on that buyer to purchase that home, that seller, they bought their own property. They were relying on the proceeds from the sale of their house to purchase their property, and now they can't buy their property. So just having a huge domino effect on the whole industry. And over the coming weeks and months, it's not looking that great. And another huge issue is from a home seller's perspective, they don't want buyers to come into their house. And from a home buyer's perspective, they don't want to be going into people's homes to look at properties. So it's not that great for the real estate industry right now. But we're surviving. I mean, we are considered an essential service because at the end of the day, there are people who are in the position where they have to move. They need somewhere to live. So we're just trying to do our best offline in terms of virtual meetings, virtual open houses, whatever it takes, just to facilitate these sales. From a personal level, like Shey said and Aaron alluded to, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I don't mind staying at home, get to spend some extra time with the kids, some extra time with my wife. She's still on maternity leave, and like Aaron's
my wife, she's also a nurse, so she'll have to go back for mat leave's up next month actually. So we're looking into what's going to go on there. But at the end of the day, I really just pray for all those healthcare workers and all the workers out there from grocery stores and everything. They're making a huge sacrifice, and we couldn't be functioning right now as a society without them. But for me personally, I'm enjoying the time, and we're just taking things one day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah, life has definitely changed for everyone. I don't think there's one single person, perhaps on this good green earth, that can say that this situation has not affected them one way or the other. So definitely let's all stay safe, stay indoors as much as we can, and wash your hands, folks. But yeah, I'm with all you guys as far as, just personally, extra time with the family. This is a great opportunity to catch up on, a lot of missed projects and things that, we always complain as humans, oh, if I had more time to do this, if I had more time to do that. Well, guess what? Now you have the time. This is the time. And I'm personally making a concentrated effort that, once this is all said and done and life does get back to normal, which it will at some point, I'm pretty sure, I want to be able to look in the mirror to say that I took advantage of the extra time that I had. I was productive and I accomplished something. So that's certainly my aim. Guys, before we run, we have a little bit of time left. As I touched on earlier, Aaron, you're a huge basketball fan, as we all are, big NBA fans. And we're hearing all these different rumors of how the NBA is possibly going to try to, salvage their season. So many different reports and different things are coming on. We don't know what's what, and we don't even know for sure if it will even be possible. I mean, when you look and you think about the numbers, they're estimating that upwards to 100,000 citizens in the United States, 100,000 people in the U.S. minimum possibly, will end up unfortunately dying as a result of COVID-19. And there's a long ways to go. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head right now, but it's probably around the 3,000 or so range at the moment. So to think that it's going to get up to 6 digits with that much travesty, and I don't know, it's almost hard to even think about, sports at this point. And you touched on it yourself, Aaron, that, these things, life is much bigger than sports, just kind of putting things in perspective. But if indeed the NBA is able to somewhat salvage their season, is able to come back, once again, dating back to March 11th when things, shut down, they had to put the brakes on the season. There's so many different storylines. In my opinion, it was an amazing season, so much going on. Obviously, finally, we broke up the huge dynasty of the Golden State Warriors. So now everybody feels that, they have a legitimate chance to, win a championship, a little bit more parity, or probably a lot more parity in the league. Let me kick this to you, Aaron. You once again as a big ball fan, what one storyline would you say was the most compelling for you? What were you really, really most intrigued by during, this, current or maybe even past NBA season?
Yeah, like you said, there's a lot of compelling storylines in the NBA season that I was really looking forward to. The rivalry with the Lakers and the Clippers, that was always something I was looking forward to, seeing how it played out in the playoffs. Seeing if my hometown Raptors could make the finals again. I think I had them as a dark horse team to do so. And up until maybe a month before the season shut down, I'd say the most compelling thing to me was the win streak that the Raptors had going on, just because everybody counted the Raptors out when Kawhi left, but they're proving that, they're a very good organization and they're more than just Kawhi. And they were winning games even when Kawhi was there and resting. So they wanted to show that they had something to prove, even though they're defending champions. But I'm a big LeBron James guy. So the number one compelling thing for me, storyline that I would like to see play out if the NBA does resume, was if LeBron could pull off his 5th MVP. He was on a run and he was on a tear, ending towards the end of the season, heading towards the playoffs. So I want to see if he could keep it going, keep that momentum going into the playoffs, make a deep run. And so I picked that as a LeBron fan. Awesome.
Shey, what about you, big guy?
Yeah, I'll choose not to go the Homer route as well. And but one of the storylines that really intrigues me is the return of Zion, or his debut really, to the league. And now, whispers of him challenging Ja Morant for Rookie of the Year, I think is a really compelling story. I think added that with the playoff picture in the West, I think it makes it really interesting, with the Grizzlies hanging on with a bunch of teams trying to catch them. And Zion has just been absolutely ridiculous coming into the league, especially that first game he came in and scored 20 points in a row, or 12 or something. It was just ridiculous. And
yeah, I think 5 threes.
His legend is already starting to grow, and so is Ja. And I think watching the two of them for years to come is going to be a lot of fun. But I think it's going to be an interesting decision if we get to finish this season out, to see how the voters vote when it comes to Rookie of the Year.
For sure, for sure. My man, Court, CJ.
Yeah, so unlike you two, I am going to go the homer route.
All right.
Go Raptors, go.
Go.
Yeah, I mean, what the Raptors have done this season has just been absolutely amazing. I mean, we've battled so many injuries. We've been resilient, and we've just overcome so much adversity. Just like Aaron said, so many people counted us out as soon as Kawhi left, didn't even have the Raptors to make the playoffs, and we've been hanging on to that number 2 seed quite comfortably. So the biggest storyline for me is to see how far the Raptors could go in the playoffs. We might have to go against the Celtics or the Bucks at one point, which, in my opinion, are our biggest challenges in the Eastern Conference. But I definitely could see them going back to the Eastern Conference Finals and possibly making a push to head back to the championship to look for that repeat.
For sure. And I'll have to concur with you there, Courts. I'm not going to put on my Raptor hat simply because I don't have one. I think I have a Laker hat somewhere around there. I'm a Laker fan. But no, the Raptors have been an unbelievable story for all of sports. I mean, so many people obviously wrote them off when Kawhi left in the offseason, and obviously Danny Green. And they're wondering, could Pascal Siakam, lead this team to, take them, back to possibly the championship. And obviously he went down to injury. I mean, who didn't go down to injury? They've been so decimated by injuries all year. But there's one thing that they continue to do. That's WIN, 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 win. And you got to give props to Nick Nurse. In my opinion, he's, the coach of the year. Hopefully, the season does resume and, they get into all the awards and all that stuff. They get to complete it properly. But I think Nick's done an unbelievable job. The Raptors have done a great job. It's that next man up mentality. And people continue to write them off, even though they continue to win despite who's in there. Everyone's still talking, obviously, Milwaukee and Boston and, this team and that team. Not really respecting the Raptors. Maybe it's because of Canada. Who knows? So, for me, once again, even not being, a huge, Raptor fan, I'll support them, here and there. It is my hometown, Toronto. So I like to see them do well. But it's just a great story, I think, for the league that they've done so well, despite people, even, predictions before the season started, predicting that they might not even be in a position to make the playoffs, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So, we'll see what happens, guys. Hopefully, the season does resume. But more importantly, as I'm sure we would all agree, hopefully life gets back to normal. That's the most important thing, even before sports and the things that, entertain us. There are bigger things out there. And just like what I said earlier, as far as, the numbers, the U.S. once again suspecting that 100,000 people, could die in the States. Obviously, the numbers continue to rise in Canada, specifically here in Ontario, where, 3 of us are, Courts and Shey. So before we, kind of wind down, just kind of kicking it home with everything, I'll actually throw it to you, Aaron. What would you say would be your message, to the masses as far as just sharing some words of encouragement, some positivity? Obviously, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there, a lot of negativity, because we don't know when things will, get back to normal. We don't know when we'll be able to, go outside and, just do the things that we love, especially as the weather begins to get warm. So what would be your words of encouragement to people out there during this time, Aaron?
I'd say do your part, and we're all in this together. Things happen, adversity comes through life, but this affects everybody. And, there's not a person on this earth that hasn't been affected by this virus. So rather than look at the down points, let's all get together and do our part to, work together as a community and overcome this virus. Stay safe, wash your hands, stay indoors. Do your part in order to get over this thing. And the more we do that together and the quicker we do that, the quicker we'll resume to our everyday lives that we're used to and we know and love. There's many different things you can do inside that you can achieve while you have all this free time, like you alluded to earlier. We love technology and social media and all that stuff, so take advantage of that. There's many different apps out there, many different online things you can do to get a sense of community, to be with your loved ones still, to see them. So this is honestly the best time for us to be equipped for something like this, because we have so many things that connect us together virtually, and just take advantage of that for the meantime, and we'll be good. We'll get out this unscathed, and hopefully if we stay safe and do our part, be responsible, and we'll be back to normal hopefully soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for sharing that. Shey, what would be your parting words of encouragement as we wind down here, man?
I'd say that, I think we've seen a little bit of panic out there and uncertainty. And I think I would just encourage everyone to, look at the bigger picture. If you've got somewhere to live and food to eat, I know people are rushing to grocery stores, but there's still plenty of food there. We just need to kind of buy time, make the best of it. Take the time to, if you're at home and you're not working right now, take the time to, do some self-improvement, keep in contact with your neighbors and your family. And just because we're distancing ourselves physically doesn't mean we have to distance ourselves socially. So, make the best of the situation and, let's just ride it out together at home.
At home. I like that. At home for sure. Courtney.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like both the gentlemen said, I mean, number one, stay home. Only go out if you have to go out. We need to flatten this curve. Definitely take advantage of this time. We always say, oh, I need more time. Well, now we have that time. So take up a new hobby, read a book, find something you like to do, keep in contact with people, because at this time, so many people are going through depression, anxiety because of so much uncertainty. So reach out to your peers and just uplift people and stay home. Just stay home.
Absolutely. Husbands, spend quality time with your wives. Give her a massage. Tell her she's beautiful. Show her how much you appreciate her. There's no sports. What else are we going to do? But I tell you, man, one thing I really appreciated, what Aaron said, and I can't agree more. We're all in this together as far as, the world. We're all one community. As I said, everyone is suffering. Everyone's being affected some way, somehow by this, international pandemic, COVID-19 coronavirus. So if everyone does their part, if we listen to the governing officials by, staying home and, physically distancing ourselves from others, washing our hands, just pretty much, following the rules, we'll all be able to get back to a normal way of life much sooner than later. So with that, guys, just want to thank you so much for being here. Just want to encourage everyone to keep safe, stay safe, and hopefully, we'll all get through this together in due time. God bless you all. Signing off here, I'm Zion Hezekiah, and you're tuned into Toronto Talk Sports and more.
Thank you for watching. Please click the like button and leave us a comment with your feedback. And don't forget to subscribe with notifications to see more engaging and interactive content. Toronto Talk Sports and more. For the love of the six, let's connect.